Hi, and welcome to today's lesson on negative exponents. Today we're going to talk about what happens if you have some sort of negative exponent. Let's take into example here 4 to the negative second power. What do we do with that? Um, a common mistake people want to make is they want to say, oh, well, it's just 4 squared and make it negative, so wouldn't it be negative 16? Well, no, the answer to that is no, because why would we bother putting the negative up here? If we wanted negative 16, all we would have to do is say negative 4 squared. So there's actually a little bit something different we have to do with that 4 to the negative 2. If we take, for instance, 4 to the positive 2 power, we should know that that means 4 times 4, which is 16. And then consider taking 4 to the first power, which is just simply 4, and you have 4 here. Well, let's take this down one. Notice every time I go down a power, I divide my answer by 4. So if we had done 4 cubed, let's write that over here. 4 cubed is 4 times 4 times 4, which is 64. Notice since I'm multiplying by 4 again, all it does is it takes this answer times 4. So when I go down a power from 3 to 2, I'm taking this answer and dividing it by 4. When I go down from 2 to 1, I take this answer and divide it by 4 to get 4. So if I go down one more power to 0, I'm going to not multiply 4 by itself anytime, but it might be confusing, but the pattern here shows that I divide by 4. So I'm going to divide by 4 again. 4 to the 0th power is actually 1, because any number to the 0th power ends up being 1. Even though that might not sound right, this pattern works in such a way that every number to the 0th power is 1. So let's take it down another notch to negative 1. So 4 to the negative first power, we have divide this 1 now by 4, and we would get 1 over 4, or 1/4. So let's take it to 4 to the negative second power. Now notice I have, if I divide this by 4, I have 1/4 divided by 1/4, or I'm sorry, 1/4 divided by 4, which ends up being 1/4 multiplied by 1/4, which is 1/16. So 4 to the negative second is 1 over 16. So notice how that actually just ended up being 4 squared pretty much in the denominator. And we basically just put 1 over 4 to whatever this power was, positive. So let's look at the general rule for that. If we have a to the negative n power, to make that exponent positive, we have to put it on the bottom of the fraction. So that's going to be equal to 1 over a to the positive n power. So for example, we could have 6 to the negative 4th power. That's going to be equal to 1 over 6 to the 4th. If we had 9 to the 0th power, remember anything to the 0th power is going to be equal to 1. Even because if we have the general rule, a to the 0th power equals 1. So these are your two rules that you're going to want to know. So our first example, 1a, we have 3 to the negative 4th power. Write that using a positive exponent, simply 1 over 3 to the 4th power. So that was A. B has y to the negative squared. Make it 1 over y to the positive 2. Okay, so that was 1 for number for part 2 there. Now we want to write each fraction. We want to do the reverse. If you have 1 over 6 to the third, write that as a negative exponent. Well, we would write that as 6 to the negative third power. For part B, we have 1 over 81, which might not be obvious what power we have there. But think, 81 factors down into 9 and 9. So we can say this is 1 over 9 squared, or we can say 9 to the negative half. The directions tell us we can't use negative 1. That's why we decided to make this into two nines. We could have said 1 over 81 equals 81 to the negative first power, but the directions tell us we have to use an exponent other than negative 1. So I would recommend going ahead and trying to see what exercises you can do, and then using the rest of this video to kind of check over your answers. So we have the first one there, which is 6 to the negative fourth power. We're going to just write that as 1 over 6 to the fourth. For number 2, we have negative 7 to the negative eighth power. Let's write that as 1 over negative 7 to the positive eighth power. For number 3, we've got b to the negative sixth. That's going to be 1 over b to the sixth power. For number 4, we've got n to the negative first. It's going to be 1 over n to the first power. Any number to the first power is just itself, so we'll write 1 over n. For number 5, we've got negative 2 to the negative fifth power. So we're going to have 1 over negative 2 to the fifth power. For number 6, we've got 10 to the negative third power. That's going to equal 1 over 10 to the positive third power. For number 7, j to the negative ninth is going to equal 1 over j to the ninth. And finally, number 8 is a to the negative second. That's going to be 1 over a to the second, or a squared. So that was your exercises for the first part. Let's go ahead and look at them for the second part. Number 9, 1 over 2 squared is going to be 2 to the negative second power. Number 10, 1 over 13 to the fourth power is going to be 13 to the negative fourth. Number 11, 1 over 25. Notice we're not allowed to make it we're not allowed to make it 25 to the negative first because the directions don't allow us here. So let's recall that 25 is just 5 squared, and we'll make this 5 to the negative second power. For number 12, same with 1 over 49. Let's convert that into 1 over 7 squared. We're going to make that 7 to the negative second power. For number 13, 1 over 3 cubed is going to be 3 to the negative third power. For number 14, 1 over 9 squared would be 9 to the negative second power. 15, 1 over 121. That's a little trickier to find what would give me a power of 121, but 121 breaks down into 11 times 11, so we'll make this 1 over 11 squared, which is 11 to the negative second power. And finally, for 16, 1 over 27, nothing squared gives me 27, but 27 does break down into 9 and 3, and 9 is going to break down into 3 and 3. So 27 is equal to 3 times 3 times 3, which is 3 cubed. So we can write that as 3 to the negative third power. Right, so if you have any questions in class, let me know. Make sure to complete the back of this worksheet completely. And thanks for watching this video.